think you know me by now, and I'm not a person of celebration and pomp and stuff like that. So I needed it to be legal so that I could start the paperwork to adopt Josh and,
have some tax benefits.
That's right.
Well, Josh was always his from the beginning.
Yeah, from the day he was born, right? I mean, they're in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They kicked me out of the hospital. They told me I was holding him too much.
They said, like, you got to stop. Yeah. So Josh is our first. And then...
The not-so-wild child.
The not-so-wild. Well, he could, but in different ways.
Not as high intensity for as long of a period as
but
I've
this
been.
is where it started with us raising our kids with Josh, right?
Yep.
Dad has always been hands-on.
Yep.
Because I nursed. I was in charge of feeding. And it's not like I really said that, hey, you need to bathe. Dad took that upon himself and bathed you boys and got you guys ready for bed and stuff that away. And I think we've done a good job at 50-50 raising you guys.
Yeah. I'd come home and
that was really quick. That was relatively like natural, or what was like maybe what were some of the biggest hurdles in figuring out who's going to take on what responsibility? Because
it just came naturally. I think, right? I'd come home from a hard day's work, right?
Yeah.
And relieve mom of her hard day of work.
Yeah.
So then we traded. I would take on the kid duties for the evening. Mom would take care of dinner and any
like home.
Yeah. So I mean, neither of us, didn't work.
Right. Both of you guys carried your 50-50 weights. And
one of the big things I remember, I can't remember which child it was, but they were sick. And you're like, honey, I'll take care of them tonight while you get some sleep, because you're going to have them all day and you have to be on all day with them being sick. I mean, so we did try to do our best and thought of each other and as raising the kids.
Yeah, it's funny because typically, and I'm saying typically, the children when they're sick, they want their mom, right? But because I dealt with that stuff, when you guys were sick, you wanted me. You wanted Dr. Daddy.
Yeah, and that literally was the terminology at the very least up until I had my concussion that 6th grade year. I went blind and couldn't see at all for.
But the thing is, you did want your dad, and we had to stop there before we went to the hospital.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying, up through then. Yeah. Now, I guess with your guys' divvying of responsibilities, how did that evolve? From the earliest days to doing potty training to reading. I mean, that's still just kind of
again, right? I mean, I'm at work during the day, so mom had to do that stuff, but
you always carried on.
And I mean, if we would ever go out, out to eat, go shopping, if I were with you guys and you guys had to go potty, I would take you, because there was so many times that I was sitting in a restaurant and I see other little kids, other little boys having to go to the bathroom, and their mom brings them into the women's and believe me, my issue isn't that.
That's why we have so many trainees nowadays.
Right. My issue is not that they're going into the woman's.
It's that they're going to become trannies later on in life.
Those are lazy fucking fathers, right?
Yeah.
You know, you need to know how to stand. Listen, no one's going to teach you guys how to pee outside of the toilet bowl if no one teaches you, right? Women don't want you peeing in the toilet bowl, right?
You also don't want to be the kid going into elementary school with the pants all the way down around your ankles. Yeah.
Yeah, or dabbing your pee-pee with toilet paper because I know a mom who made their kid do that, and I won't say any names. But god damn, we're just waiting for that kid to get beat up in school.
Hopefully he's not going to the urinal with a little bit of paper towel or tissue. But okay, so I was just curious, especially about one of the aspects of parenting you guys got right so early on was reading and writing, and I know we've talked about this, offline to some extent, especially with your upbringing. But how much of our upbringing, Josh and I, was learned from like your parents, like what they did, what they did not do. You guys, again, just kind of naturally realizing what you wanted and what needed to be done versus other people in your life with other young kids.
Well, I think the educational aspects of bedtime story, right? It just was a natural artifact that came.
Talk about that. Remember, Josh didn't have a stuffed animal that he had to sleep with when he was younger.
Yeah.
He went to sleep with books.
Yeah.
Like all his Winnie the Pooh books. There'd be like 10 of them. And he would sleep on top of them. He would whatever. Yeah. But he had to have his books with him.
Yeah.
And Dad, because when I was pregnant with you, I worked at MCI in the evenings. So Dad and Uncle Greg would take care of Josh in the evening. And I'm not saying Uncle Greg did, but he was over quite a bit and stuffed that away.
He was a starving graduate.
And so
College graduate.
He would, come over and keep Dad company, and they had a bedtime ritual for Josh and all this other stuff. So yeah, but he loved his books. Always has. I mean, he has tons of books.
But no, like that wasn't, I think, even as common then, especially not common now, right? Just to have that sort of concerted effort. I mean, you guys kind of say it was a natural part of, but again, that's just, I can't help but think with the huge problem we have in this country and around the world, increasingly more with literacy, where like you get kids in high school, let alone 8th grade. I think it's still at 8th grade, most kids are still considered illiterate.